All right, welcome back. We are going to continue on our hero for our landing page, which means our HTML page, which we did last time, now has a title and a subtitle. We will aim to have some kind of background added to this, a full page background with like an image, and possibly move these ones more to the middle. But let's start with the full page background. And in order for me to do that, I need to leverage the power of CSS onto this HTML page. And that means that I have to include or attach my CSS file, which is styles.css, into this index.html. Now, Emmett is smart enough to tell me which kind of link I need to add in. So if I write the word link, which is how you would normally bring in your style sheets, I can target the link.css, which will autocomplete for me the relation. So style sheet representing the style sheet that is coming in, and this href is the path. So this attribute here is the path to where the CSS file is. Now, because I don't have my style.css, you know what, I could also rename that to style.css just for easier. I don't have my style.css in this particular path, so I need to target exactly that path. So I would need to go into styles, and what this does here is basically go inside the folder. So that represents the directory that I'm currently in, and inside that directory there's a folder called styles, and inside styles is the style.css file that I'm going to be using. Perfect. Now I'll continue and section off my page, and this is because a lot of HTML pages, when they're made, they are made into sections. So prior HTML5, you had things such as, put it down here, div, which was used to divide pages, but using Semantic HTML, section is enough to do the same work. And then I'll give this section a class name of hero, because we're going to be building a hero image. And then in order for me to actually target or do anything with this whole section, so for me to do anything with this section, I need to target this hero class inside my CSS and give it some properties, some styling properties. So I'll go over to style.css, and a full stop, go up a bit, a full stop tells my CSS file that I am creating a class. The name hero refers to the class that I am creating over here. So I've called this class hero. So I'm passing hero, and sorry, I'll bring that back. And then curly braces. Now the structure of CSS is this: you have a selector. So this whole thing here is defined as a selector, and inside the selector you have different declarations, right? So what I will do is I'll set a color, say hero with a color of aqua. And what happens is that all the text, if you can see inside my HTML file, have changed colors to blue. So that tells me that I have successfully connected my hero class with this section, and I can give it the appropriate styling. With that said, I think we can just move on to the styling. And the idea now is to create a background for this page. So the first thing I'll do is make a background color. Let's say a background color of tomato. That would be easy way. I also want to have an image, so I will say background image. And actually, since I don't want to do anything too custom, I will use svgbackgrounds.com. I'll use an SVG background that I find here, and I think this should give me everything that I need as well. So this SVG backgrounds is a site that allows you to choose different SVG high-level images, and as you can see, you also get like a CSS output that you can use. And the cool thing about this is that it's already made for you, and because it's an example, I don't need to do anything too crazy. The few things that it does for you is that it gives you a color, it gives you the image, it also gives you the background attachment and the background size. So I will copy this whole thing and bring it back into my code because it will be just a lot easier. Whoa. Now that was a lot. So what is happening here? We have a color, which is that, so it's not tomato, but it's a more reddish hue. And the background color is basically that background. As you can see, the background color has changed. And then the background image, the background image represents an SVG image, which is basically this image here, the thing that you're seeing in the back. Now, this code is where this SVG image is hosted and all the properties that have to go with this SVG image. Sometimes you can use a real image if you want to. SVG images are just a lot easier and they scale better in the end. The background attachment talks about how we want this background to actually be attached. If it's fixed, this means it stays in place. And cover basically means that it's supposed to cover the whole width as much as possible. Now, as you can see, it's not really covering the full page. So if I wanted to make it cover the full page, we need to add a custom height property. And that custom height property would be of 100 view heights. At 100 view heights basically tells this page to, okay, I want you to really cover the whole page. But I still see some white spaces on the side. And this is because HTML by nature comes with custom padding, and you can always check this out by right-clicking and using your inspect tool, using the select element. And if you select the element here, for example, the H1, we see that there is a custom margin that comes with the H1. So there's a margin block 0.3 and 0.39, which is making that space. But also I think the body itself has like a display block and a margin of 8px. So if I wanted to remove all that, I would need to target that in my styling. So I will do that now. I'll start off with body. So if I just want to target an element within HTML, I can just use body. I'm going to target that body element, and what I'll do is I'll give it a margin of 0. And what that does for me is that it will take away the sides, as you can see, and so that the only thing that is actually left is this margin that is made by the H1. And in order for me to do that, I could simply target the H1 using a descendant selector. So I'm saying check the class hero, and within the class hero, I want to get anything that is an H1, and I want to remove the margin. So I'll also give this a margin of 0. Save that, and I think, yeah, that does the trick. All right, in the next video, we'll look at how we can move these texts to the middle using the flexbox.